Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband his job as a stay-at-home dad is only easy because I help out? Original post. I am writing this from the guest bedroom because my husband and I had a fight. So the thing is, my husband is a stay-at-home dad. 3 years ago, he wanted to quit his job and take care of the house and children, 6 female and 2 male. And I supported it because I work a decent job and earn most of the money. My husband takes pride in being a stay-at-home dad. He always brags about how it is the easiest job in this world and women are just complaining for no reason. But the truth is, I help him with the chores as much as I can. In the morning, I wake up and fix the breakfast for them, and my husband gets our daughter ready for school. I also do meal preps for lunch, and all he has to do is assemble them and cook it. I pack my and my daughter's lunch. When I am at work, he does the cleaning and spends time with our son, or does his thing. Later, when I come home, I cook the dinner and give my son a bath, help my daughter with her schoolwork, or I play with them for some time until bedtime. Besides that, whenever we do laundry, I fold the clothes that he washes and put them away. And during deep cleaning of our house, we split the task 50-50. I also handle all doctor's appointments. The system works really well, but I hate that it thinks my contribution is not enough. That he does all the chores and I do not even lift a finger. Moreover, he has a blog and TikTok where he films his days. He also makes posts about how easy it is to be a stay-at-home dad, and women just complain and full of it. That it is the easiest job in this world. I am glad he likes it, but I hate that he thinks he is superior to everyone and invalidating their experience. I grew up in a house where my dad didn't even lift a finger, and my mom did literally everything around the house. He was the fun dad doing bare minimum, so I do not want that to happen to my husband. Also, it is my house too. I believe if both people do chores, the stress becomes less. Also, I know many of my friends who struggle with doing chores as a stay-at-home mom. I also know women who work and still do majority of the chores. And his comments makes me irritated. So yesterday, my friend Ashley came to visit. She's a mother of 2. Her son probably has ADHD and very much active. She has trouble handling her son and gets no help from her husband. Her son breaks a cup in our house. Ashley was saying sorry. My husband cleaned it up and she was complaining how exhausted she is. My husband scoffed and told her, "You must be doing the parent thing wrong because I am a stay-at-home parent too, but I never had problem. My wife barely does anything around the house and it is so easy. Maybe I should give you a lesson or two." I can see Ashley was upset and I understand why. Later that day, I told him what he said to Ashley was very rude, and my husband acted as if he said nothing wrong and was honest. I pointed that he doesn't do all the chores. I help him with at least 40%. That's why he thinks it's easy. He again argued that those chores are not significant compared to what he does. I told him he is being mean to everyone, that we got lucky that our kids are easy and not active. Most of the kids are hard to handle. He again scoffed and said, "How hard can it be?" We argued about this, and he told me I am being ungrateful because no man would ever sacrifice like he did. Now I am upset and gave him some space. Was I wrong to point it out? Edit. Just want to point out, I have no issues with him being a stay-at-home dad. I just don't like his attitude towards it, and the way he thinks it is the easiest job in this world. Because to me and most of the people, it is still a job that has no vacation days. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Welcome to reality. It rarely matters how much the person who works outside the home does at home. It's never enough. Husbands complain that they work 50 hours a week, do all the hard work, all the home maintenance, all the auto maintenance, and help out a little in the house. And they get eviscerated if they don't pitch in 50-50 on housework and give the stay-at-home parent time off at night and on the weekends. We ran the actual numbers with my partner who was stay-at-home. Turned out, I was putting in 30 more hours per week of work outside and inside a home. Try documenting both of your workloads fairly and see what the work equity comes out to be. It may not work out with cleaning or cooking. Look at everything. If your husband is in a deficit, let him know. My husband gets rest after I come home. I know he works all day and deserves a break. It gets exhausting if you're pulling all the emotional chores. I do not want to be one of those people who complain about not wanting to do housework because they're too tired. Also, spending time with my kids is not a chore. It is more of a bonding experience. My concern is his sacrificing. What exactly does that mean? Weren't they choices? So he has sacrificed what? There seems to be some underlying issues for him around his role and the need to feel superior in this role. I'm one for therapy because it could be helpful for him and you in fleshing out the issues with going against cultural gender roles. Shame is a sinister emotion that sometimes masks itself. It was 100% his choice to quit his job and be a stay-at-home dad. In fact, he gets way more praises as a house husband than I did as a housewife. And being a stay-at-home dad has improved his mood. His job was very soul-sucking, so I supported his decision. Not the a-hole. He sounds exhausting and unaware of how self-centered he is. Parenting isn't a competition between him and you. It's a team sport where you both have to participate. Sounds like you are doing more in context, in the home and outside home. Loves seeing a stay-at-home dad, but he needs a swift kick in the butt for being full of himself, not valuing your contributions and his misogynistic comments. Stop doing what you're doing and let him truly be a stay-at-home dad, not the a-hole. Yep, see how long he lasts when you stop doing all the stuff is deemed insignificant. If it truly is, then he can't complain about a tiny little increase in workload and you get that time/labor back for you. Yeah, from what Opie described, it just sounds like he's unemployed and not a stay-at-home dad. Now for the update. Okay, I took everyone's advice and stopped working my part of the chores. I did tell him beforehand, since he thinks my contribution to the housework is nothing, that I will stop doing everything altogether. I told him since he thinks being a stay-at-home dad is easy, then he should have a full experience of it. My friend's husband doesn't even lift a finger around the house. So I wouldn't too. He was obviously upset. He wanted to argue I cannot do this to him. He even tried to pull the incompetence card. I told him I am not going to do my portion of the job at home. I also gave the typical excuse of, I work all day at my office so that we can survive on one income. It is selfish for him to expect me to do housework. And that's what I did. I didn't do any housework. I didn't wake up in the morning and made breakfast. My husband had to do it. It wasn't hard for him, but I can see he was moody. I asked him to prepare my lunch because that is also my job. He refused at first, but then I told him he said he will do all the household chores too. That includes my lunch as well. He only packed me a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I didn't do meal prep for lunch either. It was his to figure out. At night when I came home, I didn't make dinner and asked him to do it. He was shocked, but did it anyways. I didn't give my son a bath. He is fuzzy, which ticked my husband off. I only helped my daughter with her homework and I didn't help him with the laundry. The first few days didn't say a word, but after a week, it was showing that he is getting exhausted. He was getting more and more angry at small stuff, and usually cleaning would cool him off. But whenever he sees a mess, he throws a tantrum. In the weekends, I went to my mother's house to relax. That weekend, we were supposed to clean our bathrooms, but he did that all by himself. As the days progressed, I can see him being really angry at me. Even I admit, it has affected our intimacy a lot. At last, after 2 weeks, he told me, basically yelled, that I proved my point. Things are back to normal, but I can see he is very distant with me. Last night I asked him to talk to me. He said he knew what game I was playing, but he did not appreciate me treating him like garbage and not considering his feelings. I told him it was his words that being a stay-at-home dad is easy. I just gave him the full experience of it. He kept saying that I should have been more supportive. All these weeks, he felt like a nobody and so underappreciated. He felt invisible. He started to hate me for not caring and dumping everything on him. He is still not talking to me, and we have booked a couples therapy session next week. Let's see if our relationship sustains or not. I think it goes without saying, but not the a-hole. Not gonna lie, he sounds pretty toxic. Even when he has his come to Jesus moment, he's not actually recognizing that what he's feeling is exactly the thing he was demeaning others for. He thought it was easy, learned it's not, and instead of recognizing it, he pushes everything off on you. I really hope your counseling works, Opie, because he really needs it. Yeah, he's lashing out at her because he doesn't want to face how shameful his own behavior was. Everything was hunky-dory when he was discounting the work that Opie was doing and the amount most stay-at-home parents do. Let's not forget he has consistently shown he is more than happy to discount the work the women around him do. First it was the stay-at-home friends, and then Opie's efforts at home. You're telling me that a stay-at-home parent that does everything around a house while the other parent does nothing but work feels exhausted and unappreciated? What? How could he have possibly known that? Except for the barrage of women who told him they felt this way for years. But that doesn't count. After all, being a stay-at-home parent is easy, right? They were just being dramatic. Aw, he feels unappreciated and invisible? That's how women feel every day. He messed around and found out. and I was pissing like a child. Not the a-hole, but why are you with a loser? He literally can't do anything on his own, and you hurt his man ego. Like, what does he bring to the table? And don't give me the BS of love. He is a great parent, etc. He is a crappy partner who has a fragile ego and doesn't contribute 50% of the household. Literally evaluate life, because you literally have the short end of the stick with this relationship. I won't call him a loser. If you are a stay-at-home mom and have your husband help you out, would you still call yourself a loser? I agree he acted poorly, but I know my husband. I'm sure there is some deep-seated problem I don't know about. Info. Is alimony a thing where you're from? We live in a no-fault state. That has nothing to do with whether or not alimony gets awarded. You'd best check that out. We don't have a prenup. He has been out of work for 3 years. Maybe I do have to pay him alimony, but I'm not sure. Is there any option where even if he gets alimony, he has to find a job within a certain amount of time, otherwise his spousal support will be revoked? As he is the stay-at-home parent, he will likely get primary custody, as it is seen as better for the kids consistency-wise. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'd be telling the court about a sleepy driving incident if he files for divorce? My 44 female husband, 47 male, has basically declared war on me. We have 3 kids, 10 male, 7 female, and 3 female. Our son is a talented tennis player. My husband and I are both college athletes, and he almost went professional for baseball. And I used to mentor girls who ended up becoming NFL cheerleaders. My parents never had the money or dedication to support me pursuing what I loved. I made the best of it, but wanted it to be different for my son. So he gets intensive pre-professional training. Because of that, and the fact that we were building our own dream house, my husband worked a night shift job, a first shift job, and also worked as 4 to 6 hour shifts as event staff during weekends. Meanwhile, I had a receptionist job that was 32 hours a week. My son's tennis sucks up the entire income from my husband's night shift job plus my income. The rest of the money was needed to build and maintain our dream house. I thought the contractors had bad insights, so we acted as our own general contractor. We had a construction loan, but on top of that, we had to pour our money into it because things went wrong. Friends told us our only way out was to build something unique enough we could just sell it for high and make some money from it. At that point, we started arguing. Apparently, HelloFresh, which advertises affordability, isn't affordable. Argued about leasing a Jeep versus Toyota. Then came the instance where my husband was driving home from his day shift. He was feeling tired, yet he decided to start the car. He drove for a while, apparently knew he was tired, and then pulled into the runabout area of an apartment complex. He dozed off before putting the car in park and ended up hitting the apartment's garage door. He was fined by the apartment, plus a citation for reckless driving, and the fight started after he walked in the door. I said that they've charged people with felonies for that. He could have lost his career. He starts screaming he has woken up and thinks he worked so hard all for me. He called me a narcissist and said he thinks I get him to do all this because I feel inferior, and to have somebody do all this gives me an extra kick. He then said we needed a trial period apart. We got into an argument yesterday after he said he's thinking of quitting his night shift job and filing for divorce. He insulted our house, saying it looked like 5 people from different eras built parts of it and smashed it together. I replied by saying he's not going to get custody when I tell the judge about him being a reckless driver, and maybe he'd even be denied visitation. He screamed and said even child abusers get visitation, and I replied that a court official wouldn't have to be in a car with them. My husband got calm and said that was the last straw. From now on, I'm no longer important to him. Am I the a-hole for saying things in anger when he's been blaming me? He's the one who decided to get in the car and possibly run over everybody. Why would you hurt your kids like that by denying them access to their father? Why would you even threaten that? You threatened to weaponize the court and his children against him. You're the a-hole. That's terrifying. He fell asleep in his car. A serious medical issue should be ruled out. No one can work 60+ hours consistently over an extended period of time without incident like this, and managing or coordinating the construction would absolutely count as work. And for what exactly is he overextending himself for? A wife who threatens to weaponize their children? A house? And a pipe dream you'll have an Olympian in the family? The chances of your kid becoming or wanting to become an Olympian or sports star are slim. I had a colleague whose daughter was sent to a special gymnastics school. They stretched themselves financially to put her in that school with coaches who had trained other prospective Olympians. Their daughter turned 16 and didn't want to do it anymore. She wanted to be just a regular kid. Don't overextend yourself financially to promote a pipe dream, unless you can swallow that whole loss with a smile when it likely comes. Sure sounds like your husband has overextended himself, and you all need to think about what's really important in your lives. A kid that I was supposed to graduate with in high school was a really good wrestler, but he couldn't beat this one guy in his weight class. Kid's dad held him back a year so his son could dominate at wrestling. When a kid was a junior, he quit wrestling. Any athlete is one injury away from not having a career. Delusional to destroy the entire family based on this pipe dream. You're the a-hole, and you're the one that declared war. Your husband is exhausted trying to support your ridiculous dreams. Your son is probably not going to be a wealthy pro tennis player. He's probably going to resent the pressure you're putting on him. This dream house is ridiculously impractical, and with your firing your general contractor, your husband's assessment of the house is probably accurate. You're trying to live completely outside your means, and your husband has been killing himself to try and support this. And your response is to use it as a weapon against him. Again, Major, you're the a-hole. I want to say outside of reality. She's a receptionist and wants to live like she's earning a six-figure income and expects the man to make up for her own desires. Also, she's pushing that onto her kids by trying to make one into a pro when they're 10. All it'll do is cause resentment and a hate of the sport. Please note her blaming her parents for not trying hard enough to help her go pro to help my point. After she points out the money, she feels it's okay to use her husband as a workhorse. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my boyfriend's 19-year-old daughter? My boyfriend of 3 years moved into my home 3 weeks ago after his lease went up, and he was unable to renew with the price hike they expected. His rent was $1,600 for a 2-bedroom, and upon signing a new lease, they said it was now $2,400. I have a 3-bedroom home and one son, 11. Both his room and my room have an attached bathroom. The guest room does not. We have lived here for 5 years, and I bought it last year. My boyfriend has a 19-year-old daughter named Jess who visits him on the weekends and lives at home with her mother. Literally never had any issues with her, up until my boyfriend moved in. When he moved in, Jess started becoming this witchy snob, who had demand after demand that she fully expected me to meet. Like, she wanted me to kick my son out of his room so she could have the room with an attached bathroom, stating that a boy didn't need a bathroom as much as a girl did. When I said, absolutely not, she got extremely rude and condescending whenever she was in my home. She also tried parenting my son on more than one occasion, telling him what he can and cannot watch on the TV, what he can and cannot snack on, etc. There have been times when he has tried talking to us, and Jess will butt in and say something about how kids are so freaking annoying. If I speak up to her, she says, "I don't believe I was talking to you," or roll her eyes at me. Bold for someone who does not pay any rent or food costs to be staying in my home. I told her father last week that either he gets a handle on his adult kid or she was getting booted to the curb. He immediately starts telling me I need to give her time because this is an adjustment for her, and that apparently she is having a hard time at her mom's house due to them arguing all the time. I told him that wasn't my problem, and that in my house, me and my son were not going to be treated like crap because she can't control her emotions and wants to take her resentment out on us. He said he would talk with her. His talk did nothing at all. In fact, she confronted me about it and said, "I don't know what game you're playing here, but respect is earned, not given, and I will not be granting you respect until you prove to me you deserve it." She then walks to the living room where my son was watching TV and takes the remote from him and tells him to move. At this point, I go in and immediately tell her to get out of my house. She tells me she isn't going anywhere because her dad lives here, so I end up calling her uncle, who is a police officer, and have her escorted from my house after she collected all her belongings. My boyfriend says I crossed a line, so I told him he can leave too. He currently isn't speaking to me, locked away in my bedroom. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. My boyfriend says I crossed a line, so I told him he can leave too. He currently isn't speaking to me, locked away in my bedroom. Well, I guess you see who Jess inherited her odious attitude from. Not the a-hole. Hold firm. Edited to add, boyfriend has lived there 3 weeks. Check local laws to make sure he hasn't achieved tenant status, just in case you have to put a boot up his butt to put him out the door. It's in his best interest for him to leave upon being asked, because if he hangs around to be evicted, things will get even worse. He will not be able to get his own place with an eviction on his record. It's time to call Uncle Cop again. Not the a-hole. The daughter needs help regulating, and who knows what else. Not even getting along with her mother. The boyfriend needs to wake up about his role as a dad and boyfriend. You need to get them both out and evaluate if there's a relationship to salvage with a boyfriend. Not the a-hole. I don't know what game you're playing here, but respect is earned, not given. And I will not be granting you respect until you prove to me you deserve it. That goes both ways, little girl. Lol. I know that 19 is technically an adult, but she's acting like a spoiled little child. Opie, I think you handled this just fine. You took it up with a boyfriend first and asked him to fix it. Obviously, he didn't. So you followed through with the consequences you said there would be. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my brother's gender reveal party? Back in March, I had my gender reveal party at a hall. My husband and I paid for catering, decorations, desserts, centerpieces, and candy for candy buffet. The only thing we didn't do was the signs, which one of my brothers took care of as he is good with woodworking. My eldest brother has 2 children, 12 and 13, from his previous relationship, then got married and now has 2 more little ones, under 10. I have never met his new wife. They just got eloped in March and none of my family has met her. They are now 18 weeks pregnant and will find out about the baby's gender in a few weeks. I was talking to my dear husband and we decided to give them $800. My elder brother asked if we could throw him and his wife a gender reveal party instead at the same hall we did ours at. I said it was a little more than $800, considering the hall rental deposit, desserts, candy buffet, catering, baby shower favors, centerpiece flowers. I do have most of the stuff saved: centerpiece jars, tablecloths, candy buffet jars, and some games from the party. But he even wants a backdrop which my friend did for me for free. She would charge him $150 for this since he is family. He said he really wants this, and if everyone paid for it, we can make it happen. I suggested a smaller venue or even a luxury picnic. I have the decorations for that, and would be more than happy to set aside a portion of what we were going to give him from the $800 for the catering. He was taken aback, as he thought we were going to give him the $800 on top of the party. He said, "Stop being cheap. You guys have the money, and you have never done anything nice for me and my kids." This is true. I was going to university when he had his children, so I was always broke. But I'm not working at the moment. I'm on maternity leave, so checks are small, and the money is coming from my husband, who is not really close to my eldest brother. He called me a cheap a-hole and said I have money saved up, so stop holding back. Now, I don't want to give him anything, and my other brothers don't want to give him anything either. Am I the a-hole if I don't give him anything at all now for his crummy attitude? Edit added. I forgot to mention this is both a gender reveal / baby shower. Not the a-hole, and he can take his entitled, ungrateful butt out here. I wouldn't give him anything. Thank you. I couldn't agree more. I know he is in a tight spot in regards to funds, which is why we were going to give him $800 for whatever he needed for his baby. I really don't mind doing a small luxury picnic for him, but didn't expect such a terrible attitude towards everything. My mom even suggested having a potluck so that we didn't have to spend any money on food, and he said that would look tacky. He wanted something really nice for him and his wife. I do have the funds, but I'm being careful as I'm on maternity leave and don't want to spend a lot at the moment. Get him condoms. He needs to stop having that many children and baby mamas if he's in such a bad spot. Regain his financial stability before having more kids. Lol, one of my brothers made that comment. A basket full of rubbers instead of baby clothes and diapers. What? Not the a-hole. You don't owe your brother an expensive gender reveal party. If my brother pulled any of that, I'd say, oh, actually, my financial planner says it's best to set up a 529 for a kid. We'll do that once the baby's here, and make sure none of the money is accessible to someone with such terrible priorities in life. This is a beautiful idea, to open up a savings account. I'm assuming that's what a 529 is. Although then, knowing my brother will want an account for his other children, including the 2 that no one has even met yet. I just can't win. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for taking a joke too far and making my mom faint? I, 18 female, hate practical jokes because my parents love them. It was my 18th birthday last week, and it was the first time in 3 years that I was able to have friends and family over for my birthday party. My parents love practical jokes. You name it, they have done it to me or my older sisters. At each of my sister's 18th birthday parties, they pushed the birthday girl's head into the cake. I think this is stupid and a waste of cake. So, I talked to my friend Kyra, who is into cosplay and makeup. She is amazing, but she said not to post her Insta, and we came up with a plan. When my family was planning my party, I asked for them to please not push my face into the cake, and my parents agreed. So, on the day of my party, I was ready. When my parents inevitably pushed my face into the cake, I stood up and screamed bloody murder and squeezed the fake blood pack in my hand that I was holding up to my eye with a candle stub between my fingers. It was awesome. Until my mom fainted and hit the ground hard. Everyone was looking at me and no one caught her. She is bruised up and her and my dad are angry with me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your parents reaped what they sowed. You asked them to refrain, and they agreed not to do it, all of you knowing full well they'd do it anyway. You responded with a practical joke of your own. In fairness, it was a considerable escalation from getting cake on your face though. But ultimately, their terror and ensuing injuries could have been completely avoided had they merely kept their word. I'd argue that while it was a considerable escalation, it still wasn't uncalled for. It's a genuine concern, and better the parents learn not to do it from a practical joke than frantically driving a kid to the hospital. They were also asked not to do it, so yeah, that too. Yes, it may have been a practical joke, but it was also an unforgettable object lesson. Parents ought to be grateful, but that would mean admitting they're the a-holes. Or at the very bare minimum, if you're going to do a jerk thing like this, at least make sure it's safe. Why would you push someone's face who is not prepared into something with solid objects that are pointy? Why? Because idiots are idiots. I recently saw a video of someone trying to shove a guy's face into his birthday cake before he even blew out the candles. There were at least 8 dozen candles on a cake, probably more like 20. Dude tried to shove his face into a plate of fire. Fortunately, birthday boy resisted the push by locking his arms, and the entire glass table shattered instead. Next story. Am I the a-hole for going to my stepdaughter's birthday party instead of my son's graduation party? I, 46 male, have 2 sons, 20 Andy and 18 Sam, from my previous marriage. I got divorced from their mother about 7 years ago and have been in my stepdaughter, now 11, Emma's life for 6 years. I love her to death, and I see her as my own kid. Sam graduated back in June and was having a graduation party about a month later. But his party happened to be the same day as Emma's birthday party. She was really excited about her birthday and told me she wanted me to stay for her party. I said I'd try and call my son about it. The day before their parties, I told Sam I would try and stop by, but he kept insisting I come for the full thing. I told him I'd try, but Emma's birthday party is on the same day, and my wife and I have been planning it for over a month now. He just said okay and hung up the phone. Fast forward to the day of both parties. My wife said I should go to Sam's party. I was planning on doing so, but Emma told me she really wanted me to stay. I didn't want her to be sad at our party, so I agreed and told them I would just leave later. Emma's party was from 4 to 6 and Sam's from 4:30 to 7:30, so I was thinking I had plenty of time. I live over an hour away from my son, so I was planning to leave early. Anyway, I was helping my wife with a lot of stuff, taking care of the kids and other things. By then, it's already 6 p.m. and I feel bad. I have so many things to help my wife with for cleaning up, and since I live over an hour away, I know I can't make it. I did go to his graduation, so I assumed just going the day after to see him would be fine. Boy, was I wrong. I call him after that, and he practically goes insane, telling me he's extremely angry, saying I love Emma more than my biological kid and that I always forget about him. He then tells me he doesn't want me to come the next day and doesn't want me to talk to him. I haven't missed a lot of his events, so I feel like he's overreacting. I didn't go to his 18th birthday party because of a big meeting I had, and I get why he was mad about that. But this seems like an overreaction. I apologized to him, but he didn't accept it. My ex-wife and wife said I should have gone and that I was being an idiot. My oldest son says I always choose Emma over him, which is not true, and that I was being a horrible father. I do feel bad, but I lost track of time. He won't talk to me, and neither will my oldest son. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. My oldest son says I always choose Emma over him, which is not true. I don't know, my guy. In this case, you absolutely did choose Emma over him. It doesn't help that you say at least twice that he's overreacting, trying to negate his feelings on the issue. Also, why couldn't they push his stepdaughter's party forwards? She's 11. It's perfectly reasonable to do a 9 to 1 p.m. party or a 12 to 3. He's an hour from his son, so he could leave at 3 and get there by 4. There are 100 things he could have done, but he chose to screw his son over. Why couldn't they push stepdaughter's party forwards? This is what I don't get too. Like, OP even says how he and his wife have been planning this party, so there's no reason they couldn't adjust the time frame to make it work for both kids. OP, you're the a-hole. Not only that, but he knew about the double booking well in advance. Told Emma he'd talked to his son about it and then didn't until the night before both parties. I literally snorted at the flash forward after that. He made it into his 40s, with 2 adult children and on his second wife, while still thinking 12 hours is an appropriate amount of time to juggle this sort of scheduling? You're the a-hole, OP, and your weaponized incompetence is juvenile. Last story, am I the a-hole for refusing to be a bridesmaid in my sister's wedding? I, 28 female, come from a big extended family. Including me and my sister, 23 female, there are 24 female cousins and 17 male cousins. Half of the cousins are already married. When the first one ever asked me to be a bridesmaid, I declined. When I attend a wedding, I want to have fun, eat food and dance. In exchange, I will get you a gift. I do not want to spend my energy, time and money on your big day. And when I get married, I will not have a bridal party, nor will I expect a bachelorette party. Well, all of the cousins understood. There were no hard feelings. And to be honest, with that many cousins, it wasn't even an issue. Now, my younger sister is getting married. She asked me to be a bridesmaid and I declined. And I did it very gently. I told her sorry, but with working full-time, being in the final stages of preparing my thesis and teaching some summer classes, that I would not make a good bridesmaid. Also, my sister is a total bridezilla. The dresses she's looking at for her party are $450. She expects a weekend bachelorette in Vegas with all the bells and whistles. And wants everyone to attend dance classes to learn this elaborate dance to surprise her with. I do not have the energy for all that nonsense. Now, she said I am not invited to her wedding. If I am not willing to put forth the effort to make her day perfect, then I do not deserve to be there. Honestly, I don't care. But my mom and some aunts are calling me an a-hole. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If I'm not willing to put forth the effort to make her day perfect, then I do not deserve to be there. You don't deserve to be there? Jesus, how full of herself can she be? After a comment like that, I wouldn't go to that wedding if she paid me. As if her wedding is the event of the year. As if OP has probably already been to 20 weddings, where she can actually enjoy herself thanks to her cousins. But yeah, her sister's wedding is somehow going to be way better than those. Can you imagine how many actual weddings there are a year in that family? Not stay home. Just seeing how she reacted to your refusal, you know you made the right choice. Save yourself from all the rest of her BS. It might be a very small party if she keeps behaving like this. I think the mom and the aunts may have spoiled this younger sister. Now they can be her bridesmaids and take her to Vegas. Not stay home. Wedding parties have gotten ridiculous these days. We've gone from a bridal shower to a shower and a bachelorette party to a bachelorette weekend at an expensive destination. Not to mention the wedding day with a dress, shoes, hair, and makeup. If you know that it's more effort than you're willing to put forth, then you'd be an a-hole if you agreed to be in the wedding party.